Hi there, my name is Hisame, and in this video I'm going to be sharing with you some tips and tricks on how to find a good artist, because there's a lot of misinformation out there, a lot of myths. So hopefully I'll be able to clarify some stuff with you and will help you find the right artist for you. Just know this is not legal advice. I am not a lawyer. Even then, don't take legal advice from people on the internet. I am a graphic artist. I've worked in the industry. I've taken copyright classes and other legal stuff like that in college. And also, even though I am a seller and a buyer, I am biased towards artists and empathize with them, since I'm more of a seller than I am a buyer. So with that out of the way, what we will be discussing in this video is what to look for, to find a good artist, where to find them, because you'll have better luck in some places than in others, and of course what you offer, because even if you find a good artist, how do you keep them? So also in the next video, I will be talking about how you can be a better client, thus lowering your costs, because the less work the artist has to do, then the less hours of work, so it is cheaper for you. So I'm gonna give you some tips on that as well. You can subscribe so you don't miss it. So, what to look for: portfolio, language proficiency, manners and professionalism, specialization, and they are pro documentation and protection. And I'm gonna go into further detail in just a bit. If I miss anything, please let me know in the comments below. And of course, if you have any questions or suggestions, write them down below. So, the portfolio. Look at their art and see if it's good enough for you or if it's in the style that you want. Always look for watermarks, like if it's signed in a corner there. An artist watermark your work. I mean it. And if there's anything suspicious, like for example, the name of the account doesn't match the watermarks and every piece of art has a different name on it, like one's Bob, one's Laura, do a Google image search to make sure it is not stolen. And all artists, guys, have a portfolio. Do your portfolios. And I want you to be aware of this stuff, because some people will pretend to be artists to try and scam you, so be careful. Check and double check. If you see the artist's name everywhere, and you still ask, oh, this is yours, you will seem like a troll or just someone that isn't very competent or able to think well, and some artists will just ignore you. So don't start with that. Be polite, say good afternoon and all of that. Okay, this stuff is important if you're trying to find a serious professional artist. Second, language proficiency. Anyone can make mistakes or typos, but when you can't communicate well, it exponentially increases all issues, like misunderstandings are a very common problem. So always try and find someone you can communicate with easily. Obviously, being fluent in the same language is a good start, but then there can also be way that people communicate can differ. Depending on the culture, on the social status, and things like that. It will be easier if it's someone that you can easily communicate with. So, text is also better than voice for legal reasons as well. Always have anything you decide on in writing to be safe. So now, third point I want to discuss with you is manners and professionalism. Now, you can debate this. I'm just showing you my perspective on this topic. So I value courtesy and view it as a sign of professionalism. And to me, professionalism is a dedication to high quality, a healthy aversion to missing deadlines, and the pursuit of the client's happiness. So respect is at the foundation of a good relationship, in my opinion. And usually when I see that someone has manners, and if they do anything wrong, they apologize and blah blah blah, all that stuff, to me that is a good indicator that the person is reliable. Of course, it is not a guarantee, but I think it's a good sign. And also, if you are an artist and you're looking for clients, be professional if you want to seem competent. or make it clear that you are competent in case you actually are. Because perception affects the relationship. Specialization. So ideally, you will find an artist that specializes in your segment of activity, while a professional can cast a wide net and do great work no matter if the passion is there or not. If you are lucky to find an artist that finds the same things, that likes the same things as you, then that can make it even better. So, for example, I can do logos for spas and accounting firms and things like that, but I personally prefer to do illustrations for kids' books. So I can do a lot of things, but I prefer to do some things over others, and if the passion is there, it can lead to overcoming limitations. So I'm gonna be more inclined to um, give ideas, to give input, to make more expensive offers because I can do like more detailed stuff or more in-depth stuff. So it can raise the price if somebody is specialized, or it can just be a more enjoyable relationship. So have that in mind. Um, Documentation and protection. Protection is for both parties, and I cannot stress this enough. Like, listen to me, guys. It's very important to have a contract or to have a middleman service that will make sure that the transaction goes smoothly. This is very important, so I'm stressing it again. Like, make sure never to work without contract, without the proper documentation. And also, I want you clients to understand that serious artists don't work without guarantees. Like, we don't like working for free. I don't think that's hard to believe. So, if an artist doesn't want to sign a contract or pay taxes or things like that, it's a risk that you're going to take. And also, artists really stop working with people that promise you money and then don't sign any agreement. You're only harming yourselves. So, where to find these artists? I've placed these in order of, my opinion, the best places to worst places. So, on Fiverr, Upwork, and Freelancer.com, these are middleman services, like I discussed before. So, when you agree to do a job with a client, the client will send the money to Fiverr, for example, and then you do the work, or the artist does the illustration that you want, or the music, or whatever it is. And then once that is complete, you give them the okay, and then Fiverr gives the artist the money. That's how it goes, and I think it's kind of the best way, because you have somebody managing it. When you are signing a contract and it's just you and the client, the artist and the client, if anything goes wrong, you have to go to court, and it's such a big hassle. And if it's like you're in different countries, it can get so complicated. So, for example, I don't even accept to work with people from outside the European Union. I'm a European Union citizen, and I don't work with people just on contract outside of the European Union because it's just too much of a hassle for me. If like they are in the US or some other country that has a lot of legal stuff done with the European Union, then I'm more likely than to work with someone from, I don't know, Russia or China. But if it's Fiverr or Upwork or Freelancer.com, then it's a lot easier for me. I don't care where that person is from. If they're breaking Fiverr rules, Fiverr will just still give me the money because I've been a good girl and I did all the work, so they can't really scam me. So then I am more free to service people that normally I wouldn't without a middleman. There's also companies that you can find, like national job websites, and then you can find companies that aren't as big as Fiverr but kind of work like Fiverr. For example, Space Giant or something like that. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. It's kind of small. It's in my country, and They do basically the same thing that Fiverr does. They'll find clients for me or something like that. And if you're an artist, you can find these companies on eJobs. If you're a client, um, I don't really know, but you can place an order on eJobs, Best Jobs, My Jobs, stuff like that, and then sign a contract with the artist. And yeah, good luck if you're not in the same trade zone. Other places you can find artists are, I guess, on social media like Deviant on Instagram and YouTube, but it can get complicated. Again, you have to sign a contract between the two of you, and hopefully that works out. There are also seller websites like Society6, Etsy, and Redbubble, where you buy stuff that's already been made, or place an order for something and it will be made. The kind of services that are offered are more limited. Like Society6 and Redbubble, it's only printed art, and Etsy, it's craftable stuff. But there are websites specialized for music or other things like that that you can apply for. And then there are like business socials like LinkedIn and Dribbble, which I've never seen to be good for anything. But I know people that say they're not the worst things, so just have in mind these places exist and some are better than others. Um, Now, what to offer once you found an artist that you really like? Fair pay. Pay for samples if you're not sure if you want to work with them and you have like a big project. Reasonable time frame, documentation and protection. Again, contracts, contracts, contracts. And clear and concise information, because professionals don't accept nonsense offers. They'll just ignore or even report and block you if you seem like a shady, bad person. So the question of fair pay can get very complicated. So I've tried my best to kind of simplify it and make it clear for you guys why an artist isn't greedy or why an artist is shady or suspicious. So first of all, have in mind that the costs of living differ from one region to another, and what might seem like a fair offer to one artist is insulting to another. So I've kind of tried to separate it by first world, second world, and third world countries. Um, Art jobs usually are project based, most of them, and you're gonna work by the hour. So that's why I'm um, putting it by the amount of money per hour, and also have in mind how much stuff is taxed. Because for example, an artist that has high taxes where they live, they're gonna have higher prices because they need to pay taxes and things like that. So, you know, uh, arithmetics. So check the minimum wage as reference, and then add, 2, 3, or even 5 times, depending on how expensive electricity, sanitation, rent, health insurance are. And you'll quickly realize that $100 per hour of labor with a lot of expensive equipment in an area with high um, rent fees and taxes. So, for example, if somebody works in New York, $100 an hour for rendering CGI, 3D CGI special effects is like nothing. But $100 to do a logo from somebody that lives, I don't know, in trying to think of a country that has low taxes and low, um, I guess Vietnam. I don't think they have very high taxes or salaries or expenses of living. So then $100 for someone in Vietnam compared to New York is going to be a different thing for different jobs. Like rendering special effects needs a lot of equipment. You basically need a server farm. But just to make a logo, you can do it in even Inkscape, which is a free software, and it doesn't need that much hardware, so you can even do it on a little laptop. So always have in mind the equipment, the expenses, the taxes, the minimum wage and things like that. So you know better why someone is refusing your offer or saying that your offer is insulting or just like not replying to your messages. Because if you're a client, you might be sending a lot of messages to a lot of people and you're only getting scammers and bogus stuff. And here are some examples of bad clients. So you know not to be like them. For example, they want a lot of illustrations overnight for $5. Who works for that? Like the electricity alone and the equipment is ridiculous. Like these people are detached from reality. And they also want you to infringe on the copyright of other IP, like Simpsons, Futurama, South Park, stuff like that. So professional artists generally don't touch IP theft jobs, and skilled artists don't bother with insulting offers. They know their value. So if you put this offer out there, don't expect good artists to throw themselves at you and want to work with you. So fair pay, reasonable offer, things like that if you want a good artist, professional. Of course, always pay for samples. I can understand it's your first time buying from someone, even if they have 5 stars, you are unsure and you have a big project, so you're afraid because you've never done this and you don't know what you're doing. Then just buy a small sample. Work with milestones. Normal industry practices are to pay artists for their work, meaning you pay for the samples. Uh, Please try and adhere to industry standards of decent behavior. And artists, stop selling yourself short. Like you have to know what your value is, what your rights are. Like get educated as well, because if you let bad people take advantage of you, you're only making it worse for people. Like we're trying, those of us that have been in the industry and know what is right from wrong, we're trying to clean up the place for you guys, for you newbies, and also for our clients, because good clients, we want good clients, you know. And if they have to weed through a swamp of crap to get to us, it's not in our best interest either. So we want to be a separation, and for good artists to find good clients and vice versa. Like, we want it to be easy for everybody. So those of you that don't know, this is your chance to learn what is good to do and behave and like not get taken advantage of. So established professionals, I also want to clear this out, view free samples as begging and scams, and you will get reported and blocked. So like if you're a client and you're doing shenanigans like this, you can get reported and blocked. So like behave nicely. If you didn't know, you know now. Reasonable time frame. So when you're looking for an artist, you're a client, you're looking for an artist, and the offer sounds too good to be true. It most likely is. Of course, there are artists out there that are incredibly fast and good at their job, but generally they're not going to be cheap. Like I am slow and my talents and skills are mediocre, so therefore my costs aren't that astronomical. Like I'm affordable. So beware of rush jobs, because the costs may add and you may have issues and you may need to, like if you get a botched job, need to hire then another artist to fix it, and that will end up being more expensive. So just go with a good artist from the start. Long run, you will save on money and time. Also know that artists do get faster with experience and age. And they'll have like better equipment, or experienced artists will also charge more. This is another thing I want you to know, because if it's like an older seasoned artist, they'll have better equipment that will raise the costs, and also because of their experience, they will charge more. So you know, you can look at a portfolio, or they'll say there, oh, you know, I've graduated school in the summer of 1990 something. And I have 20 years in the industry illustrating. And if the portfolio seems like they actually do, then don't be surprised they have the high prices they do. And once you're informed, you can make a choice based on that. And also, the software and equipment can reduce the work time. So you can always ask like what the workflow is, but most artists will say, like, I have it published, what equipment I'm using and what software I'm using. In this example, I am using Clip Studio Paint, and you can have here like some example of how long does it take me to do that illustration. So you can see the pink doodle I did in 10 seconds, a sketch I did in 10 minutes, I did the line art in 2.5 hours, and everything colored from start to finish 4 hours. Without any pause or anything like that. So to some artists seems like I'm fast, to others it seems like I'm slow. Um, but like this does affect the work hours. So even if somebody's really expensive, if they can work very fast, then if they're working less hours, um, that can lower the price. So it's a juggle all the time. There's no clear recipe for this. Like the more you find out about the work process that artists have, and this is what I'm trying to do with my videos to make it all transparent, um, then hopefully you'll have more understanding for the process and why our prices are the way they are, and also to see like who's being um, shady and who is not. Like I'm trying not to be too insulting because I've been told I'm pretty blunt. So yeah. And I just want to reiterate that I'm a slow artist, but I've never missed a deadline. I always take extra time, extra days, because I can get sick. I can not have electricity, or something happen to where I live, or some emergency in the family happens, and then I'm no longer able to work. So I always ask for extra time, more than I need, and generally I deliver ahead of the deadline. So this is something that you artists can try and do, or clients be aware why maybe something is taking so long, because that is the workflow of the artist. So if an artist saying, oh, I can do it overnight, just know that if I don't know to get an indigestion that evening, then we'll miss the deadline or something like that. There are risks. And of course, documentation and protection. So contracts, those are the classical way. And then stuff that is getting more popular nowadays is the middleman services. If contracts are used and not respected, they will refund, penalize, depending on what it is. And if it gets really serious, there can be lawsuits. And if no contracts are used and the deal goes bad, if you're not working with contracts and you really should be, then what can happen is, like, if they know your relatives, if you know each other, they can call your mom or dad, whichever you fear more. There can be public shaming on social media or your community or things like that. And then worst case scenarios, they're doxing and hacking and things like that. So always have contracts and respect them, because it can be bad for both of you if you don't. So always work with paperwork. There's so many, horror stories on the internet with what has happened. I've had my fair share of bad situations with people that weren't very nice. If you want, I can do some videos on those as well to kind of explain each situation, what my view was, what maybe the client's view was. If I can, because some have been just misunderstandings, and we've worked it out with the client. And maybe in the future I'll ask them to kind of share more of their side of the situation. And also, if you've had your horror stories, send me your screenshots. Let's see what you guys have discussed, where it went bad. Hopefully improve your negotiation skills and things like that. Um, Clear and concise information. Again, always good to um, have that. So, for example, here in green, I've highlighted what is important for the project. Um, don't waste too much time on details. Like, I think when you're initially making an offer, it's good to um, give an idea of how much work it needs to be done, so the artist can give you like a fair estimation of how many hours will take and how much it will cost and what equipment needs to be used for making different projects. Generally, I would recommend to you as a client, don't complain about how horrible other artists are, how you're so innocent and everybody is against you, and sounding overly victimized, because that can seem suspicious to us. Like, really, you've never met a good artist and you're expecting that I'm gonna be a good artist. Like, for me, that kind of sounds suspicious. Like, the client doesn't know what he wants and he's not able to express himself properly. Like, if all the other artists in your life were stupid and bad and scammy, and uh, I'm gonna assume that there's more to the story than you're telling me, and if I have better options, I'm gonna go with another artist that is better at dealing with people. So also, for example, here there's an offer that I really like. They want beautiful, enchanting illustrations for kids' books. They're saying 15 days. That's not much for me because, again, I'm a slow artist, but the pay seems to be for several pages, not too thick, not too short. Seems to be like what I would expect to be a fair pay. Also, they're like this board game. They're offering $1,500,000 for 25 days. These are offers that I did not win. So examples are from Fiverr. Somebody else won that. And seems to be like good 25 days to do a board game. I've done board games before, so that seems like a fair price. What most likely will happen is that these people will then try and sell that for much more money. I'm okay with it, as long as I either get a percentage from the sales or they pay me for the um, commercial license. So commercial license is separate from the art that you pay. I recommend you always read terms and services of any platform, read up on copyright, read up on legislation, so that you are dealing with an artist. Don't make assumptions. Always be informed to what you're entitled to, what the artist is entitled to. So commercial license, non-commercial license, they're different things. Always be careful like what you do, and try and always be within the law. The law does change, so you can see yourself in bad situations, but as long as you're always trying to do the right thing, you shouldn't be in too much trouble. And you can watch my other videos for details on red flag clients and how to be a better artist, because I think that will help you to kind of get a better grasp of what's going on here. So yeah, please don't be a nightmare client. Here are some examples of like really bad clients insulting the artist, and of course you'll be reported, blocked, and blacklisted. So it's good to have, once you found a good artist, to maintain good relationships with them, especially since artists will know other artists. So for example, you needed an illustration done and then you need a 3D house or music or something like that. That artist can recommend you other people that they think are reliable and good. And yeah, be careful. Try and be as informed as you can. Offer fairly. Make sure that you have a good understanding of the client, because what you might think is fair might not be fair to them. So maybe you just need to find another artist that is more your level, or your budget, or things like that. So yeah, conclusion: professional artists don't tolerate nonsense. Nice artists avoid drama. So if you seem like a shady client, or there's anything that seems like a red flag, you'll be avoided. And a good artist, in my opinion, is both nice and professional. Like, there are people out there that will work with all kinds of other people and they don't have a problem. Like, there was this print on demand company that I worked with, and I had horrible bosses, and they would tolerate them. Like, my boss would throw temper tantrums and promise to sue and blah blah blah. But the print on demand company just ignored their temper tantrums because they just had tons and tons of clients. So if you wanted to work with them, they would work with you. But not every client is like that, and not every artist is like that. Not every service provider is like that. So, like I said, nice artists will avoid drama, will avoid people like that, and professional artists don't tolerate nonsense. So, if you do want a good artist, um, that is both nice and professional, you yourself as a client need to offer similar circumstances. So yeah, thank you for watching. Hope you've enjoyed it. Hope you found it useful. And as always, you can find me on social media to stay up to date with what I do and what I post. If you want to chat, um, I will post in the description of the video where you can connect with me. And if you want to buy my art, you can find me on Fiverr, Lulu, Society 6, and Redbubble. Or if you just want to support, you can find me on Coffee and Patreon. So yeah, thank you for watching and see you in the next one. Bye bye.